They say every day is for the thief, one day for the owner of the house. But ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, has reversed the role. It is now every day for the owner of the house. If you're involved in bribery, over-invoicing, or any shady deal, the day of reckoning has come. ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, is watching you. If you're reported for any corrupt practice, you'll be investigated, prosecuted, and punished. Corruption is harmful to our nation. Join the campaign against it by reporting any corrupt practice to ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Let we join hands with ICPC, make them better.
Let's make Nigeria great again.
ICPC, they watch you.
Come on, hand for corruption.
Break the chain of corruption now. Don't give, don't take. This message is brought to you by ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
It is no news that corruption is an impediment to the socio-economic and political development of a nation. For Nigeria to make progress, therefore, the fight against corrupt practices and other related offenses must be fought judiciously to reduce it to the barest minimum. The ICPC vision of a Nigeria free from all forms of corruption and corrupt practices drives its activities, and the Commission's strategy for achieving this vision is through the deployment of lawful enforcement and preventive measures. When a petition or report of corrupt acts is received by ICPC, it investigates meticulously, and where a prima facie case is established, takes the suspects to court. Today on the program, we shall take a look at a few of the cases arraigned in various courts across the country by ICPC. This is Corruption Must Go, ICPC's weekly television program. I am your host, Hawa Sani Garba. We bring you details of some of these arraignments after this timeout. Is a public officer with the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. He allegedly received bribe of the sum of 23,850,000 naira from one Sunday Itama to help him facilitate the auction sale of vehicles at INEC. In this way, Mr. Tata contravened Section 19 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offenses Act 2000 by conferring upon himself undue advantage. ICPC also arraigned one Mr. Henry Elemona Oyibo, an employer with the federal government of Nigeria. He was an administrative officer in the budget office in charge of federal medical centers in Nigeria. He was said to have contravened Sections 8 and 19 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offenses Act 2000. He too has made his first appearance in court. ICPC counsel Oshobeni Akbos explains further.
The case involving the Federal Republic of Nigeria against Emmanuel Eladion, aka Ibekwelu, Emmanuel Wisdom was as a result of a petition authored by one Ibekwelu Winston Shooks, the husband of Emanuela Odinaka Ibekwelu Ni Amadi. Shooks Ibekwelu and his late wife Emanuela Ibekwelu had married long ago and had four children. One died along the line. I'm giving you these facts because I read through the case file. Now, Mrs. Ibekwelu works with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. She was posted to Venezuela, precisely Caracas. Now, she needed to go with her husband, but she had problems, marital issues with her husband. So I don't know what informed her opinion. She brought in an estranged man and eloped with him to Caracas. Now, in a bid to elope with him, they prepared documents to the effect that the man claimed her husband, Ibekwelu Wisdom, as if he is the real husband of the woman. They processed official passport with the Nigerian Immigration Service. The estranged husband, who eloped with the wife of the petitioner, made documents telling the immigration that he is Emmanuel Ibekwelu Wisdom. An official passport was issued to him, and he traveled. So when the petitioner brought the petition to the ICPC, he was arrested by Interpol and brought to the commission, and we looked at all the areas required for investigation, and it was discovered that he was not Ibekwelu Wisdom. He is Emmanuel Eladion. We came about that fact as a result of his bank details. Investigation led us to retrieving his account details. From there, we now found out that his real name was Emmanuel Eladion, not Ibekwelu Wisdom Emmanuel, as claimed by him. Now, one of the charges was that he had signed a document to the immigration that he is the father of the children of the petitioner, and he signed a letter, the father's column, and put in Emmanuel Wisdom Ibekwelu. So we processed the charge, and he has been arraigned so far. We have even commenced a trial. At the first day he was arraigned, he applied for bail orally. I opposed to the oral application that the court is a court of record and that he should make a formal application. So on the next hearing date, which was on the 7th of July, they came. We put in our first witness, that is the petitioner. He testified, but awaiting cross-examination. But since the defense team did not file any formal bail application, so it is not the prosecution's duty to push for them. So as I speak, the defendant is in Kuje Correctional Center. second matter is in respect of one Lemona, Henry Oyubo, a staff of the Niger Delta Ministry. Before he got to the Niger Delta Ministry, he had worked with Federal Ministry of Health and was made the desk officer to all the federal medical centers in Nigeria. He was the contact person to all the federal medical centers. Whenever they make a budget proposal, they will submit it through him and he hands it over to the ministry for processing. Now, a petition was written by Kogi Elders Forum against maladministration and misappropriation of funds against the CMD, the Chief Medical Director of Federal Medical Center, Lokoja. The commission was processing the petition and found that certain monies were leaving the FMC account to one Greece, David Olorunleke, the wife of David Olorunleke, who was also a staff of the Federal Medical Center. Now, we looked at the documents and it was found that David Olorunleke was sending monies to the account of Lemona, Henry Oyubo. The trail was gotten from the account information of the Federal Medical Center. The Federal Medical Center pays the money into either Grace Olorunleke's account with FCMB or David Olorunleke account with Diamond Bank, now Access Bank PLC. So based on that, the defendant was called to explain how those monies got into his account. And he now explained that the monies came into his account as a result of honorarium they gave to him while performing certain official assignments with the Federal Medical Center. We probed further and found out that almost all the federal medical centers in Nigeria had paid one sum or the other into that same account, ranging from 500, 800, 2 million. So when we made a summation of the amount coming from the Federal Medical Center into the defendant's Guaranteed Trust Bank account, we found that it was about 12 million naira. Now, before I prepared the charges, we had also traced, the commission had traced properties to the defendant, precisely in Maraba area, Basha Road. The properties were event center and a plaza. They were evaluated to be around 209 million naira. So we had gone for interim forfeiture. We got interim forfeiture, we published. The defendant came, brought his brother, one Leonard Oyubo, who he claimed lives in Czech Republic and was importing things to Nigeria, and it was from the proceeds of that importation that those properties were acquired. The defendant also claimed in their affidavit to show cause, claimed that he took loan from a microfinance bank to build those properties, and we said there was nothing like that, and the court looked at it and no evidence whatsoever was presented to buttress the fact that the monies were not proceeds of crime. the court delivered a judgment and then forfeited the properties to the federal government of Nigeria through the Independent Corrupt Parties and Other Related Offences Commission. They had equally gone on appeal. We thrashed out the appeal at the Court of Appeal. We also won. The Court of Appeal said the defendant could not explain the source of his income. We did a magic there by telling the court that the defendant receives salary to the tune of 78,000 naira per month. And the defendant also claimed that the properties were built between 2014 and 2015. Now the court also held that such fund requiring properties couldn't have been built within that short period, looking at the income of the defendant. So the court now said his income is not commensurate with the properties he had acquired between the time he claimed he acquired those properties. So the Court of Appeal also agreed with the lower court. They had proceeded to the Supreme Court. We are in the Supreme Court now.
In a similar vein, ex-Surveyor General of the Federation, Ebisente Awudu, was also arraigned by ICPC over 2.8 billion naira fraud. Director, Legal Services Department of ICPC, Mr. Henry Imore, tells us more.
Okay, we are talking about Surveyor Awudu, the former Surveyor General of the Federation. Yes, he's facing a 22-count charge bordering on various violations of some provisions of the ICPC Act. He's facing a 1-count charge of using his position to award a contract to a company where he was the director. Then he was just a director in the office of the Surveyor General of the Federation. Then 2, he's facing a 4-count charge contrary to Section 19 of the ICPC Act, that he used office as Surveyor General to confer unfair advantage on himself, corrupt advantage on himself, running to hundreds of millions. Then he's also facing a 15-count charge, a 15 count in violation of Section 10 of the ICPC Act, where he collected kickbacks from various companies that got contracts. I got contracts from the Office of the Surveyor General, and this kickback runs into hundreds of millions as well too. Then it's also facing a 2-count charge of diverting monies meant for probably maybe purchase or for some other things, to purchase vehicles, and one of them particularly used monies meant for the purchase of project pickups to buy a Land Cruiser for himself. So these are basically the 22-count charges facing, and particularly the Section 12 of the ICPC Act makes it an offense if you're a director in a company or you award a contract to a company where you have interest, or where your wife or your brother, your sister, or your associate, or your colleague has an interest. Section 12 of the ICPC Act makes it an offense. Then Section 19 of the ICPC Act says it's the omnibus section of the ICPC Act, which makes it an offense if you use your office, your position as a public officer, to confer unfair, corrupt advantage on yourself. In this case, he awarded contracts to his brother, his in-laws, and got kickbacks from them too as well. Then the major part of the 22-count charges, he received various sums of money. In some instances, 50 million, some instances, 40 million for contractors who got contract from the Office of the Surveyor General of the Federation.
After accused persons plead not guilty to all charges, what is usually the Commission's next line of action? Mr. Henry explains.
After the arraignment, so we're going to full trial. We're going to call our witnesses to prove our case. Then after we call our witnesses, then maybe if he has any defense, we call his defense. and we'll close our case. But the case is coming up in September because the courts are going on vacation now. The case will be coming up in September. You see, most of us as civil servants or public servants, we've always fallen into the error of thinking that, according to a friend of mine, he called it a workshop. That if I may be permitted to use the popular parlance in pidgin English, now where you do for work, you do chop. So they call it workshop, so that whatever when you hold that position, you should at least help yourself or your relations. It is wrong. Even if you have to award contract, let the contract pass through due process. The Public Procurement Act gives us the process you can follow. Follow those processes. Every Nigerian has the right to bid for jobs, but you must follow the due process. And secondly, too, we all believe that if you scratch my back, I scratch your back, and that is what some contractors do. That's what some contractors do today. When they award contracts or when they're giving contracts, they give kickbacks to the people who give them the contract. And we are looking at possibilities of even charging the contractors to court now to serve as deterrents to others to stop that act of giving kickbacks to people who. That means if you decide to give kickback for a contract for construction or doing something for people, and you give kickbacks as much as 50 million, how are you going to perform that contract? That's why we have the deficit of infrastructure in this country, because most often when contracts are given out, they give kickbacks, the jobs are not done, and the jobs are certified concluded. That's why we come and say the roads are bad, there's no electricity, our schools are run down. So things like this, it's a result of things like this that will get this failure in infrastructure.
By arraigning suspects before the courts, ICPC is adhering to the provisions of its enabling law, the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000, and in line with the rule of law. It is the duty of the courts to determine if the Commission has proved its case beyond a reasonable doubt, and if suspects are guilty or not, and to administer the appropriate punishments. At the conclusion of the cases, the accused persons will be brought to justice. This serves as a deterrent to others by putting them on notice that corrupt practices will always be punished. On this week's edition. You can watch the program on our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/ICPC Nigeria. See you again next week, Wednesday by 3:30 p.m. Bye for now.